Menopausal and perimenopausal women, listen up. It's time to take control of your health and comfort, and Winona is here to help. Winona is a telemedicine company for menopause care who believes that your symptoms are real, important, and deserve to be taken seriously. And for many women, this starts with hormone replacement therapy. Winona's HRT is made with plant-based, bioidentical hormones rather than synthetic ones, so it better aligns with your body to offer relief from hot flashes, weight gain, and other uncomfortable symptoms. 80% of women who use Winona find relief within just 90 days. So, what are you waiting for? Get started today. Visit buywinona.com today to start your free visit. With free shipping and the ability to pause or cancel at any time, your path to wellness has zero obligations. Use code SPRING24 at buywinona.com for 25% off your first treatment plan. That's BYWINONA.com for 25% off. Winona. Menopause care made easy. Summer is the season of hot temperatures, outdoor adventures, and refreshing water activities. Summer is also the season of rough on your feet, causing dry, cracked heels and toes. Introducing Babyfoot, the original exfoliation foot peel that contains 16 natural extracts formulated to remove dead skin cells in 3 easy steps. Apply the booties, relax for an hour, then wash your feet. In 14 days, you've got baby smooth skin and your feet have never been softer. Letting dead skin cells build up over time is hazardous to your foot health. Our professional-grade DIY products, like our original exfoliation foot peel, our men's foot peel, or our moisturizing mask, are some of the best foot care products on the market, created with your foot health in mind. Pamper yourself with a spa day from the comfort and convenience of your own home with Babyfoot. If you want a chemical-free, easy-to-use exfoliating process from the company that created the original foot peel, it's time to treat yourself to Babyfoot. Go to babyfoot.com and use the code SUMMERFEET24 and get 20% off your first order with Babyfoot. That's babyfoot.com and use the code SUMMERFEET24.
Hello and welcome to Too Stupid to Live, a podcast that reviews romance novels $5 and under. And no, I am not a wolf dressed as a podcast host right now. I'm not a wolf wearing podcast host clothes and podcast host glasses. Trust me, it is me, Becky Feldman, your host, and yes, I am so excited about today's episode. We are getting into the world of Amish romance, folks. It's a genre that I never thought I'd read more than once, but you know what? Here I am. Amish romance is such a popular genre, and honestly, I'm serving no purpose by shutting myself off from it. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised with today's book. It changed my perspective. Not that I'm becoming, but you know what I mean. Anyway, today's book is Amish Red Riding Hood by Ashley Emma, which is currently 99 cents. And I am so excited about my guest today. She's the host of one of the most enjoyable podcasts that I've been listening to recently, Ye Olde Crime Podcast, where they discuss the funny, strange, and obscure crimes of yesteryear. Lindsay Valenty is here, and we had such a great time with the adventure that is discussing romance novels. This is truly a fairy tale of an episode, so please enjoy this review of Amish Red Riding Hood. Well, Lindsay, welcome to Ye Olde Too Stupid to Live.
Thank you.
So I am so excited that you're here. I was just on your podcast. But can you tell us a little bit about your podcast, Ye Olde Crime Podcast? Why you started it, what made you interested in it? Just tell me the whole shebang. Go into the whole history of Ye Olde history. Your Ye history of Ye Olde history.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. So I jumped on the podcasting train as far as listening to podcasts. I think it was in 2017, 2018. And lore was my gateway drug for podcasting. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's by Aaron Mahnke. He's moved on to, now he's got his own network called Grim and Mild. He's got a bunch of different shows. Anyway, I love him. And his show is kind of about creepy things in history that you may be familiar with, you may not be familiar with. And that was kind of my jam. So in listening to his show, I was I really like this kind of content. I really want to dive deeper into it. And so I came up with the idea of the show probably in 2019, and I started collecting articles for different things that I wanted to learn more about and like read more about, with the hope that maybe someday I would use that content in some sort of creative fashion. And then COVID hit, and my sister, who I do the show with, was essentially like trapped in her house. She's a type 2 diabetic. So she was like terrified to go anywhere, understandably.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I have this idea of doing this podcast. Would you like to do it with me? And at first she was like, ha 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 ha. And then she was like, oh, you're serious.
We were all crazy we all said crazy things during the pandemic. I get it.
I know. I was like, I'm being serious. And I was like, the premise would be, I research something and I like tell you the story of whatever the thing is that I discovered, and you can give me your real-time reactions to what I'm sharing with you. And she's like, sounds great. Let's do it. So we started in June of 2020, and we've been producing weekly content ever since. We have taken some breaks here and there. I think we took the month of December off one time, but I shared like content from other podcasts where we had been guests. So there was still content coming out, but it wasn't like me writing new episodes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need a mental health break. You know what I mean? Like you get burnt out.
Yes. You learn that the hard way for me, at least, you learn it the hard way with podcasts.
Yeah. And most people understand, but you don't want to. It was important to me to make sure that we were still producing content, and also to like share the different shows that we had been a part of, on the off chance that our listeners were like, hey, I really like this person. I want to go listen to their show too. So, which was also kind of the concept behind the segment that I had you on for, the Can You Crack the Cramp Word segment, which is when I bring on different podcasters and kind of do a short interview and then give them like a couple Victorian slang terms to try and guess what they mean. It's a hilarious segment. Everyone has a great time. And it's just a really fun way to introduce our listeners to new podcasts, get to know fellow podcasters out in the wilderness. And it's helped me really like make some fun connections and friendships and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like, you've embraced the world of podcasting, but realizing, oh yeah, I'm doing the show, and you think that's podcasting, but then you just like totally embrace the community of it all. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I know every place has a community, but for me, I was like nervous at first, and I'm like, I'm not real, and like, I don't know. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, because our show is kind of on the fringe of history and true crime. Like we're in this weird like Venn diagram where the two meet, because we focus on cases pre-1900. Because I feel like all of the current stuff and everything that takes place after that period in history is kind of rehashed to death. And so I wanted to really focus on new content as far as stuff that most people probably have never heard of before, or maybe had heard about it in passing but didn't know the full details. And I enjoy doing that because I'm always learning something. And I know my sister is always learning something new. And it's rewarding in the sense that I have had people reach out to me to be like, hey, I have lived here my entire life and I have never heard of this before, like until I listened to your show. And that kind of makes me feel good, but then it also is like, wow, people are listening to my show.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, like people are listening to my show.
Oh my God, I wonder what that's like. I wish I knew. No, I'm kidding. My question for you is, like, you mentioned, true crime podcasts. You there's a bandwagon of them. Do you ever see any similarities between crimes of the past and the crimes that are discussed in true crime podcasts that are more recent and creepy?
Yeah, I've really kind of discovered over the past, 3 years that we've been doing the show that history has a funny way of repeating itself. Like there is, like that adage is so true. Like there are certain crimes that I will hear about that happened fairly recently that mirror stuff that has happened, years and years and years ago. And we try not to cover anything that's too heavy on the show. There are some episodes where they've been pretty dark, but like one of the cases that I'm really proud of is we discussed the case that kind of started the Child Protective Services and kind of ushered in legislation and stuff for that. And it was actually the man that spearheaded the ASPCA was kind of the person that helped start it. And it's kind of sad to think people cared more about animals than they cared about children. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was a weird thing to kind of go into, but there are so many things in history that we have discussed on the show that are so applicable to everyday life now and what's kind of going on currently. And it's interesting to see how they kind of mirror each other in history. Like I said, has this funny way of repeating itself, but it's a lot easier to catch criminals these days as opposed to way back when, where you could change your name and move to a different state and no one would see you ever again,
Yeah. Even though your stories take place in history, is there any story that like keeps you up at night or that you think about, that you think back on?
One that will come up every once in a while, like I will see something about it online or I'll just randomly think about it, is the story of Fanny Adams. And she was a young girl that was brutally murdered by an older gentleman that kidnapped her and did horrible things to her. And the reason I decided to investigate the story itself is because there's this phrase that they use that naval people in Britain will sometimes use called Sweet Fanny Adams. And it was actually in reference to like essentially the dog food that they would be forced to eat when they are on the open waters. And I was like, well, who is Fanny Adams? Like, where does this reference come from? And in researching it, that's where I learned about this little girl. And so it's like heartbreaking that her story and she herself is like tied to this horrible thing. Or not necessarily like the food is referencing her tragedy in a way that's sort of like this offhand comment, like, oh, it's Sweet Fanny Adams. And it's like, it kind of like is dismissive of this horrible tragedy that happened to this little girl in this small community in England. And that was like a really hard case to discuss just because it's children. Everyone has a hard time talking about crimes against children, or at least they should if they don't. And
they should have crimes.
But so that's one that every once in a while I'll think about it and just be like, yeah, that was really messed up. But
it is interesting because like you think of things like Ring Around the Rosie or like jump rope songs, you know what I mean? Like Lizzie Borden, you know what I mean? And it's we're literally on a playground.
Like just being like, oh yeah, Ring Around the Rosie, that was the plague, like we're just kind of making light of the Black Death. It's fine. Like Lizzie Borden is a perfect example. And she like potentially, we still do not know if she was actually responsible. She was responsible. But
your team responsible. Okay.
I'm team responsible for, brutally hacking her parents to death, with an axe. Like, and we're just like, yep, that's a cutesy rhyme.
Yeah.
Like we're just in a jump rope. It's fine. And there are actually a lot of those that will come up in history. And I think it's just, I don't know if it was Victorian era's like weird fascination with death just because it was so common to die back then. Like you could die from literally anything.
That made me
you could breathe funny and you're going to die, like it was just so common. That it was almost like a coping mechanism, like, oh, we're just going to
yeah.
make light of this thing, like, oh, like this is just some weird thing that happened. And yeah, I could totally be wrong. I could just be talking out of my ass, but
I mean, it
that's
makes a lot of sense because, like, we listen to true crime podcasts, and there is a lot of danger in our world. And I'm not saying it's macabre in a bad way. I'm saying macabre in a good way of like gaining control of things in this world that we don't have control over. And it seems like it's the same kind of urge with this Victorian era, humor of like, yeah, they can't stop dying. Like, what are you going to do? We listen to podcasts. They make up jump rope songs. I mean, that was bare minimum, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you try to find humor where you can.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose by making these things kind of humorous or like poking fun at the people responsible for the crimes, a lot of times it has to do with the person being hung, at the end of the rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of turns it into this cutesy, like poetic justice type of rhyme. And so, yeah, I don't know if that was some way of them being like, haha, like you're a piece of shit. And, and it's hilarious. So I don't know. But yeah, that's a very common thread that I will find periodically as I'm researching cases. Like, oh, yeah, here's another rhyme or another poem about this horrible tragedy. So it's just weird.
Yeah. It's almost like this is like a good segue into the book we're talking about because we are discussing Amish Red Riding Hood. Red Riding Hood is, a folk tale, fairy tale, and like there's many incarnations of it. And, it's used in a similar way to in a lot, I mean, again, in a lot of cultures to teach a lesson about something that's like very serious, whether it's like dangers in the woods or, all of the things we think it's, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a cautionary tale. Like, oh, don't go out in the woods. You're going to get gobbled up by a wolf. Or in this case, a coyote.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
We got to talk about that.
I was like, okay. That's,
yeah.
I know.
I had the same reaction. I was like, because in the beginning of the book, like, by the way, we did coyotes, not wolves because of the location. I was like, okay, you could have done a wolf and I would have been fine.
Yeah, you could have suspended disbelief. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's your book. Do what you want with it.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Well, before we get ahead of ourselves, I do want to know real quick your love of romance novels, your love of reading. Can you just talk about that real quick? And then we are going to hop in the woods and get into this Amish Red Riding Hood.
Perfect. Absolutely. So I am 6 years older than my younger sibling. And so we couldn't really do a whole lot together. And I grew up in an extremely small town. It was like 200 people. And I swear like 180 of them were senior citizens and not a lot of children to play with. So I read books. And I think the first books I really remember reading were, the Little House on the Prairie books. And so I just read a lot to entertain myself. And I started reading romance novels, I think when I was in college. And I still have my first one. I remember talking to you about it when you were on my show. It's called Improper English. And it is about an American author who decides to spend a summer in England to write this book. And she's renting this like little flat in this like boarding house and ends up having this torrid love affair with a man also named Alex, who works for Scotland Yard. Because of course he's got to be like some sexy detective person.
Absolutely.
And she is a hot mess. Like she just, she goes to move into the flat and she's got this plant with her. And the Scotland Yard guy is like, you do realize that you were carrying around marijuana, right? And she's so like, she has no concept. And she's like, oh, I just thought it was a cute spiky plant. And he's like, no, that's marijuana. And I'm going to take that from you now. Like, thanks. And it was just, it's like stuff like that. Like, and I love romance novels that poke fun at the genre. Like they don't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
The heroine's a hot mess, but in a fun way. Like I like humor in my romance novels. I don't like it when they're too serious. They don't necessarily have to be bodice rippers. Like I have read plenty of quote unquote clean romance novels that are just as charming. But there's just something about romance novels where the two love interests just butt heads for so long until like the sexual tension just explodes.
Enemy to lovers, that's your trope.
Yes,
yeah.
That's my trope. I love that.
It's my favorite too.
It's just so good. And I love a flawed heroine who you can empathize with and like relate to, because none of us are perfect. And I am super awkward. Like, so whenever I read about someone doing something super cringe in a romance novel, I'm like, yep, I could see myself doing that. That's me. That's me.
Yeah, 100%. Because like I feel like there were a lot of books for like the longest time where I don't know if there was like, oh, if you want to create a successful female character, she has to have her shit together. She's not awkward. She's perfect at everything. And it's like, I guess some people like that, you know, but other people who are real normal human beings, you know, don't, you know, and it's nice to like kind of, and it's really funny because sometimes like your version of a hot mess is like, I'm like, she doesn't seem like a hot mess. She seems like she has her shit together. And it's like, oh, you know, everyone's version of like what is a hot mess is so different. And it's very fascinating to hear.
Yeah, like my version of a hot mess is someone who, I guess is someone who just has all these kind of falling onto the too stupid to live trope. Like just has these unfortunate events befall her that are comedic in nature, but they're not like detrimental. Like they're not the end of the world, but something like her hair catching on fire at a dinner party, you know, like just random things that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened to this person. And it's so funny. And it's just kind of a comedy of errors or whatever.
Yes.
Like that's the kind of hot mess I'm talking about. So not necessarily someone who's like, I have no job.
That's
and no
my
prospect.
Yeah.
And no prospects. I'm basically homeless, you know, like that type of thing. Like that is also a hot mess.
Yeah.
But my hot mess is more of somebody that's just like, they just have a hard time at adulting. We'll just say that.
That is such a perfect example. You know what I mean? I think like there is this pressure to be right at adulting. There's a pressure that for female there's this need for female characters to be the right ones, correct ones at adulting, and reading women in books who are bad at adulting is very, very therapeutic.
Yeah, because adulting is hard. Like
I can't do it.
I can't do it. There are so many times like my oldest, who is 15, she's like, oh, I can't wait to be an adult. And I was like, you want to wait. Like you don't want to have to start paying taxes or, you know, what, like all the other super fun things that you do as an adult that you don't realize as a child. And then years later, you're like, oh, now I understand why my parents were always so frustrated at life.
Yeah. Live in that world. Okay. So it's so funny that you mention you enjoy your rom-coms because this book that we're reading is an Amish romance. You requested an Amish romance, and I just need to know, why were you interested in reading an Amish romance compared to the other books that you usually like reading?
So I learned about Amish romance novels prior to the pandemic. So I think it was probably like 2019. And the concept of them has just fascinated me. And it's mainly because I had no idea just how popular they are.
Right.
Like, so I had heard of them, and my aunt works in Toronto is like one of their main library branches. Like she's a library. And I asked her about it when I last saw her. And I said, so do you know anything about Amish romance novels? And she's like, we have shelves upon shelves of books just for romance, just for Amish romance novels.
Wow.
And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, they're one of our most popular things that get checked out. And, you know, there's such a wide spectrum of them. Like some of them are super wholesome. Some of them are, you know, in the fantasy realm. Like I think we talked about one where it's like Amish in space, like just, or like Amish vampires. And there's like a subgenre that explores the LGBTQ community, which I think is great, you know. And so there's like all these different subgenres within the Amish romance novel. And I had never explored it. And I thought this was a perfect opportunity to explore it, like dip my toe into it, if you will, just kind of explore that realm and learn a little bit more about the Amish community and what a typical romance would be in the Amish community.
Right.
A wholesome romance.
Oh, very wholesome. Well, the book that we reviewed is Amish Red Riding Hood. That is the title. It's by Ashley Emma and is currently 99 cents. Okay, so here is a synopsis. Once upon a time, a woman named Scarlett was ostracized from her Amish community for being the girl who cried wolf, or more specifically, coyote. Years ago, no one believed her when she witnessed her father killed by a coyote in the woods of Unity, Maine. However, when the predatory beast returns, Scarlett will stop at nothing to make sure this threat is taken care of. But this time, she has someone on her side, the handsome widower next door, Jacob. So when Jacob is all like, Scarlett, what great fearlessness you have, she's all like, the better to get vengeance with. And soon, Scarlett's story of redemption may just end with a happily ever after.
That was beautiful. That was so good. So good. Chef's kiss.
Thank you so much. Thank you. In addition to the books, have you ever read like fairy tale retellings? Like, have you ever explored that subgenre before?
I haven't. I've explored like the fantasy realm of romance novels. So Kate McAllister, who I mentioned, who wrote the first book that was kind of my gateway drug to romance novels, she has this whole series about men who are dragons, and they don't turn into dragons, but they're dragons, and it is so good. I have all of the books pretty much, and so that's like my only real like foray into the fantasy realm.
Got it. Okay.
But I have not read any romantic retellings of any of your traditional fairy tales.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because I've read romantic retellings of like Beauty and the Beast or whatever, but not Amish romantic retellings, which is very, like, which is a hat on a hat, is very interesting.
Yeah. I think of the ones that you sent me to choose from, this was the one where I was like, you know, this one sounds like it could be really good. Let's try this out, you know, like, so this is my first foray into the fairy tale realm, if you will.
Well, all right. Well, we got to hear your thoughts about it. First, I just want to know your thoughts on just like the premise of the story. You have this girl who, or this woman who has this like she has this like kind of, well, she does have a tragic backstory, but she is like, her name's Scarlett, and she more or less has a scarlet letter in terms of, she's still very pure, but she does have like a scarlet letter on her within her community.
Yeah. She's kind of ostracized because she refuses to not wear red, which apparently is not frowned upon in the Amish community, but it's not traditional. You're not supposed to wear a lot of flashy colors, but red is allowed. And obviously it makes her stand out. And she's very, like, her character was really prideful, extremely prideful. And to the point where it was almost kind of off-putting. Like you kind of got to a point where you're just like, girl, let it go. like
totally, 100%. Like, because there's where she really like sticks to her guns, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's like, pick your battles, lady. Not this one. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and it's like I appreciate a character who is like, I'm gonna stick to my guns, like I'm gonna be true to myself. But again, it's like, pick your battles.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there are times when it's okay to like agree to disagree and then like come back to the conversation later.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like you don't have to keep beating a dead horse, if you will.
Yeah.
Which you really shouldn't do in the Amish community. They need those horses.
No.
And
and it's just mean in general.
it's just mean. It's disrespectful to the dead. Let's be kind. And so her family's just all women. So it's just like her and her mom, and then her grandmother,
stubborn
who
grandma,
who just happens to live in the woods, just like in the story.
Can you believe it? Yeah.
Right. And yeah, so her character, Scarlett, when you first meet her, you can tell right away she's very prideful. And then Nathaniel shows up. That guy.
He's a psycho.
Oh my God. He is a psychopath.
Yeah,
like he is psycho. 1000%. Like red flags all over the place. Like a rat fink, if you will. And he's like, you need to marry me. I'm going to totally ignore the fact that you're a raging liar and a psychopath, but I'm the best you got. Yeah. And it's like, I'm sorry, what, Chad? Like, no, yeah, no, we're fine.
What was interesting about that is that like they mentioned in the book that she also was like attracted to him. It wasn't like he wasn't like this like annoying guy who's always there. Like it was never going to happen. Like she did think about marrying him before. And I thought that was like a very interesting twist.
Yeah. Like, because when you first are introduced to him, he totally comes across as like a Gaston type of character. Like, why wouldn't you want to marry me? I'm so great. And then you hear about the fact that she's like, well, I can't marry somebody who doesn't believe me. Yeah. Because again, it goes back to that whole pride thing. Like, transparency and truthfulness is it's something that's super important to me. And I don't want people to think that I'm a liar. So the fact that he didn't believe what happened to her dad was a huge deal breaker for her. So she's like, hell no, like, no, we're done. And I do appreciate the fact that she stuck to that and was not willing to give him a second chance. Like,
she knew what she wanted, and she was like, I'm willing to take the, consequences in this world. Like, I think there was like one line of like, she was 26 and unmarried, like may as well be dead. You know what I mean? And it's like,
she's like over the hill as far as marriage age is concerned. Like she's gonna die a spinster. And I thought it was really good that she's just like, no, I know what I want. I know I'm not going to compromise and just like marry somebody because I'm supposed to. Like, it's important to me that I marry somebody who likes me for me and who appreciates me and who believes me when I say certain things. Yeah. Which I think is good. It's important.
I feel like, I hope I don't sound too ignorant, but I found her character is so empowering. And my kind of thought when I think of of a woman living in an Amish community, I don't think, are they living, I don't know. I'm not like, what's the empowerment there? It doesn't seem like it's a very empowered kind of community. And I could be, and obviously I'm wrong. But I just thought it was like just such an interesting dichotomy there, because like this is a story like where she is such a strong, powerful woman, and just like the context of the world she's in. And again, I could be wrong.
Yeah. No, I think you're honest. I think you're right. But again, I don't know any more about the Amish community than I'm sure you do.
Right.
But I feel like in that culture, it's women are supposed to be a little bit more seen and not heard type of thing, like a little more subservient. And so I think the fact that not only is she wearing red when she's not supposed to, but she's like bucking at the traditional norms, and she hunts And that was not a thing that women did in this community.
No.
They were allowed to, but it's not something that they just did. And so that's another way that she's bucking against the traditional gender norms in her community. So, yeah, I would definitely say she is someone who kind of broke the mold as far as what a traditional woman would look like in that sort of community.
Yeah.
And like even her friend who she taught how to hunt was like, oh my God, this is so great. Like, I think it's awesome that you hunt and you do all these cool things, you know, like you're so awesome, Scarlett. Like a little fangirl. And
yeah. Although I did have a problem with Robin. So like, I feel like Robin could have been a better friend to Scarlett, you know, because the whole community hates her. And like Robin, I feel like Robin could have, you know, been there for her friend more throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I feel like she could have had her back a little bit more.
Yeah.
But again, if it could have been that whole like, well, I don't want to challenge the norms too much. Like I'm learning how to hunt. I don't want to push the envelope too far.
Yeah.
And then also be ostracized. So, which I can see.
What's so interesting is that, like, I feel like if this weren't an Amish romance, you would expect Scarlett's character to leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she doesn't leave. And so it's like the whole time you're thinking, like, why isn't she just leaving? You know, like,
yeah.
And you realize, like, oh, why do we think that other people that we don't understand are miserable? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah. And why do we think that they should be the ones that have to leave? You know what I mean? Just because you're different doesn't mean that you are well, I don't fit in here, so I guess I'm going to go find someplace else where I do fit in. No, like you're allowed to be here and it's okay for you to be different.
Yeah.
People need to just stop having sticks up their asses and be like, oh, maybe we should get to know this person a little bit better. I can't remember the name of that sassy woman at church who was always like gossiping about her.
Yeah. Who like
her name?
has no idea how to lower the volume of her voice. It's so funny because like I'm rewatching, of course, the Real Housewives of New York to get ready for Ultimate Girls Trip, as one does. She's such a Ramona. She is such a Ramona. Okay. Oh wait, let me find it. But yeah, but basically, like she like overhears, like she's like literally like, you know, walking in church and like this woman is like going to her daughters and being like, you should never wear, like loudly being like, you should never wear red, and thinking she's whispering. And Scarlett's like, yeah, you should never listen to other people too. You know what I mean? And then just like stomps off and you're like, whoa, sassy.
Fanny. That's her name.
Look at that.
What a fanny. Oh my God.
Such a fanny. Oh my God.
We should have known by the name alone, like, oh, this woman, she's gonna be, I don't even know what word. Not a hot mess, but she's gonna be trouble.
Oh yeah, because sometimes the people who have the most restrictions are the most hot messes, are the most trouble.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What else are they gonna do?
Yeah, there's, you know, put everyone else down. Okay, let's talk about her love interest, Jacob.
Yes.
I did like him. I was rooting for them. I find it like the whole thing is very interesting because I do like, you know, spice in my books. Sometimes I get like a little nervous in books when it's like he's a man who's grieving and how long it takes to grieve is so different. This is a second chance for him. So, you know, sometimes I know people like that kind of trope, but like I was like, oh, it was so, both of them, it was so tragic. You know what I mean? The way he lost his wife, I was like, oh God.
I know. When we finally find out what happened to her, like towards the end of the book, I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's awful. And he's, not only is he a widower, but he's a single dad. He's got 2 kids. And I couldn't tell, and maybe I just missed it in the book. Had he moved back to the community or had he always been there?
I think he definitely moved houses at the very least. Yeah, I think he like moved back, like moved out of the house he was living in with his wife and moved in next door to Scarlett.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because I know his brother is part of the community. And
Yeah.
we know that because his brother's like, hey, this Scarlet chick's kind of up your alley. Maybe you should chat her up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, I couldn't tell if like he and his previous wife lived in a different Amish community and then he moved back.
Oh, I thought he
Or
just lived
it
on the
was,
other side of the, like he was in walking distance.
yeah, maybe. It wasn't
Hmm.
super clear. So I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, so why is he just randomly her neighbor now? But
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
But what are you gonna do? And so he's all like, grieving his wife, understandably. It's very tragic. But, when he sees Scarlett with his kids, boy, does his heart warm. She's very good with the kids.
yeah, she's like such a maternal figure. Like she's super good with the children,
Mm-hmm.
and she's talked about like she mentions in the book, like in her head, not
Yeah.
necessarily talking out loud,
Mm-hmm.
about like how she wants to have kids, like she loves children, and they love her. They very obviously love her. Like
Yeah.
they think she's great. They want to spend all the time they can with her at her house and with her mom and um, all this stuff, which I think is super sweet.
Adorable.
And so I think I agree with you about like the whole grieving person trope. Like I also have a hard time with that. And I feel like no dissing the author, but I felt like it was really like beating a dead horse with the whole,
Yes.
oh my God, I'm grieving. I shouldn't be coveting this woman that I live next to because my wife, who's dead,
Mm-hmm.
and I should still love her forever, but I like this woman. And it was just like over and over and over again.
This book could have been 80 pages shorter. And I think like that was the bulk of it. It was just taking like, and not even just with like Jacob's character. Like, yeah, he was, but she's going back and forth of like, oh, everyone hates me. Well, not like that, but in her head of just like thinking about her tragedy with her father, and he has the tragedy with his wife. And it's just, and then they have flashbacks of it, which were like, which was so tragic. And it's like, I don't even think we needed,
Yeah. Yeah, because it was like it would be like sweet, 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 horrifying tragedy.
Yeah.
Back to the sweet, 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 another horrifying tragedy. And they would just like hit out of nowhere, and you're like, what?
Whoa. Yeah.
And I mean, obviously you don't want to start the book being like, here's how her dad died in a horrific attack by with a coyote.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how Jacob's wife died in a horrifying accident in front of her family. You know, like you don't want to start the book that way, but it was super shocking when those things would happen.
Because like it became a little gratuitous, of like, we get it. These people are suffering and it sucks, but like why? It was just like, it just affected the pacing of the book so much. Because I loved the parts when they were together. Like I loved I loved their chemistry. Yeah.
Like how she was not necessarily teaching him how to hunt, but she was like helping him hone his skills a little bit, like because he was a little rusty, and she's like, oh, let's go just do target practice after church someday. And that was really sweet and really cute.
Hi, everyone. Just wanted to take a quick break to talk about today's sponsor, Smart Labels. If you're decorating for the holidays right now and you can't remember where you put those nutcracker ornaments or those extra Hanukkah candles you saved from last year, listen, I feel your frustration. I bet at one point you thought, you know what? My New Year's resolution is to be more organized. And if you're not the type of person who does resolutions, I know you thought, well, theoretically, my resolution would be to be more organized. But whether your resolutions are actual or theoretical, Smart Labels is exactly what you need for a more organized life. Whether it's storing your holiday decorations for next year or managing inventory for your small business, Smart Labels is an easy way to find your stuff right from your phone. You just buy a pack of Smart Labels and download the accompanying app, slap a QR code sticker on your storage bin, and the app will catalog it for you. When you need an item later, all you have to do is open the Smart Labels app and it will tell you where it is. Your brain doesn't need to do any of the remembering. So if you want a more organized 2024, Smart Labels is an easy way to follow through with your New Year's resolution, theoretical or otherwise. To get started with Smart Labels, please check out the show notes or go to the episode page at tstlpodcast.com. And now, back to the show.
Oh, yeah. We didn't really talk about the fact that she forced her grandmother to like live with her again because she was worried she was going to get attacked in the woods.
Yes. So, yeah, like there's a coyote lurking. We think that, or Scarlett thinks that it's the same coyote that killed her dad. The coyote is now older. Could be more than one coyote. Whatever. So she very nervously is like, and like the grandma's very stubborn, you know, like that kind of character. She's like, don't worry, I have my trap set up. And she's like, no. Yep. So she goes to get grandma out, but she still is like, we got to kill this coyote. Like it is legit dangerous. Let's put together a hunting party. And so like the community comes together to put together a hunting party, but she is still like dealing with this huge stigma on her shoulders because of her history.
Yeah. And of course, Nathaniel, the protagonist, ends up being put on her team in this hunting party.
Oh, Nathaniel.
And Nathaniel. And he ends up twisting his ankle because he gets freaked.
Real silly.
Real stupid because he gets freaked out by the wolf, the coyote, because they hear it like howl and he's like, oh my God. And he like trips over a stump or something and like twists his ankle. And then so Jacob shoots the coyote, you know, and he's like, it's done. I'm gonna go find the rest of the people and we're gonna bury it or whatever they did with it. But it wasn't dead. And so Scarlett freaks out and she like stabs it in the neck or whatever she did to it.
Yeah, it was horrific. It was like a Game of Thrones style, like, dear Lord. Yeah.
You know, I was like, holy shit. You know,
yeah, it was like the violence of killing that coyote. And to be fair, like, and it's also, we had previously read the way that her dad was violently killed by this coyote. And she has like dreams about it. So it's like, okay, it felt earned, I suppose.
Yeah. And she was like, adamant that was the one because she had nicked it with the gun or something, like she had shot it but it hadn't like killed it, something, and she was like adamant, this is the one. And again, it went to that whole
scar on its leg that from when it was young, and so that's how she knew. So she was like, this is the one, I know it's this one because it's got this scar from where we whatever. And so then when they go back to church the next day, Jacob's like, oh, I killed it. You know, we're all good. It's, you know, and she's like, no, I killed it. Like she could have left it. She could have left it how it was. But then that whole prideful thing came out and she was like, I'm just going to go for it because this is a perfect opportunity. And she's like, actually, I killed it. And it's the one that killed my dad all those years ago. And everyone's like, no, it can't be. They don't live that long. And so and even Jacob is like, no, I killed it. So then she's heartbroken. Yeah. She is so upset because it's like Nathaniel all over again. Yeah.
And Nathaniel was
on board. Yeah. Nathaniel's such a psychopath. He's like, she didn't kill it. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, but you were there. And he's like, nope, I didn't see anything. Twisted my ankle, you know, like, that's all.
Ankle and like, yeah. So this was like the major kind of crisis in this book of Jacob insisting that he killed it, she insisting that she killed it, and the two of them are not at all relenting. And it's like such a it was I loved it because like it was such a stupid argument. You know what I mean? Like it's such a dumb, stupid argument. And it's like I see myself being her and I see myself on his side and I'm just like, oh, okay. What side does Lindsay? Is she on Jacob's side? Is she on Scarlett's side? Because I see both sides here.
I do too. Like I can definitely see his side because he thought he shot it. It went down and then he left right away. And I can also see her side because she's like, no, I like avenged my father. I like killed this coyote. Yes, I froze when the coyote first showed up and because, trauma.
Yeah.
And Jacob didn't end up shooting it, but she's the one that ultimately ended its life. But it's like, yeah, there was that whole we're not going to talk about it thing where they were just like silently stewing about it. And then it wasn't until what was it, the second hunting party where they had to go back out that he was like, oh, maybe she's right. Maybe I didn't do it.
I know. And it's like, yeah, Jacob, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, like the thoughts he was having is like a normal person would have those thoughts when the first, like their argument goes on for weeks. And it's like the things he thinks about of like, oh, maybe I didn't check it. You would think that the second she brings it up, like the second it's questioned. And I'm like, oh, Jacob.
Yeah, especially like, what would she have to gain by lying about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's already ostracized in her community. People already think she's like a little bit crazy because she's adamant that her dad was killed by this coyote. When everyone knows that coyotes don't attack people, quote unquote. And it's like, if you like this person so much, why wouldn't you give them the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah. And at the same time, like, it's like, okay, on Scarlett's end, it's like, a part of me is like, just let it go. You killed it.
Yeah.
Isn't that all that counts? Why is it so important to you that everyone else believes it? You know what I mean? And it's like, and then it's just like, then like back to what you were saying, it's just like, let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah. Cause it's like, that doesn't, there's no, I just felt like she was so stubborn in her stance that like, I need everyone to know.
Yeah.
I need everyone to believe me. And to some extent, like, I get it because you're getting some form of closure by having everyone believe that this thing that you say happened actually happened. But at the same time, like how she was going about it was just like, girl,
yes,
let it go.
Yeah.
Not the right time. Like, just.
And it's like, who cares? Like, your grandma is saved. Like, and it's like, and that's why I really loved her character, is because she was so petty. And I feel like it was so human. It's such a human thing I related to her so much because we do have these urges to be right. We have to be right.
Yes.
And we are like willing to die on the dumbest of hills. You know what I mean? To like be right.
Yeah. 1000%. Like, we do try to die on like the stupidest hills about over the dumbest things.
Yeah.
And it's never something as, powerful as my dad really died because a coyote like bit his neck or whatever happened. I can't even remember, but like, yeah, it's like at some point you just gotta like let it go.
Yeah.
Because you're being remembered more for the argument than what you're trying to say.
Yeah. And because like in my life, like I still think about like dumb arguments that I've had from like elementary school, and I'll still get like riled up and be like, oh, I was right, I did that. You know what I mean? And it's like we live with that's like part of our existence, and for her to like, she could still like harbor resentment and like, every once in a while when she's like, doing some menial task, she'll think back to this time of just like, well, I really did kill it, that fucking asshole. And then, or well, not that, but like, and then like go back to her regular life and like, use like communication skills to, have a good marriage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And it's totally human nature to go back and be like, what could I have done different? Or like relive something and be like, yeah, that guy was a total dick. I was right. Like, I know what I did. And that's human nature. But then again, when they, what is it?
They go back out.
Oh, yeah. So they go back out because
They think
they
there's
saw
a family. So they thought it was one
yeah.
coyote. It turns out it's like an entire pack. And they're like, oh, fuck. There's like a pack of coyotes.
Yeah. And so they go out and they kill another one. And they're like, okay, great. Like we've fixed everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
They think they got
then
them all. Yeah.
yeah, they're like, we did it. Congratulations, everybody. We did it.
Yeah.
And
and then she's redeemed, right?
Is that, yeah, I think she's redeemed then because because Jacob is like, she was right.
Mm-hmm.
She totally dealt the killing blow.
Mm-hmm.
I should have stayed and made sure because like he forced Nathaniel to say something or whatever. And Nathaniel's like, yep, I lied. She did do it. And so she's like on cloud nine because everyone believes her now.
Mm-hmm.
She's, vindicated or whatever. She's so happy. And now they're like, okay, it's great. Everything's clear. Let's move grandma back home.
Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, there's like 17 more coyotes.
They're in the trees just waiting to attack grandma's house.
Yeah, it's like a whole coyote town.
They're actually living in grandma's house now.
Yeah, they're wearing her like pajamas and be like, better to eat you with, my dear. Like I was not expecting that final coyote situation.
Yes.
And then let me just say, the last paragraph in this book was, and they heard a howling. So it kind of, their story ends on a happily ever after, which is great.
Yeah.
But it ends on, oh, there's still some coyotes out there. And I was like, I finished it. And I was like, oh my God, like this poor town. Like, they got to get rid of, there's all these animals attacking them. Like, hang on. There's got to be a part two.
Yeah. Is there like can they put up a fence or something? Like, what can they be doing to protect their community a little bit better from all these coyotes?
Yeah.
But the final showdown with the coyotes was crazy because it was like there were two of them, and they were like going after each other. So like they're each shooting the one that's going for the other. Mm-hmm. It was like something out of an action movie, like an Amish action movie.
It really was. Like, they save each other, and it's like very badass. But it's also like very like you're at the edge of your seat, like kind of like, oh my God, like we all know how romance novels end. I knew this was going to be a happily ever after, but I was like, dear Lord, is he going to be like maimed for the rest of his life? Like, this is insane.
I know. Like, is he going to like lose a leg? Does he get maimed by this coyote? And she's like, I still love you, or whatever.
Totally. Yeah. And it's like, also, it's like crazy because it's like both of them, here they are both like reliving the most traumatic moments of their life they finally find the person they're meant to be with, the person that makes them feel whole. And then it's like, we're going to recreate the one thing that's been haunting your dreams ever since it happened. And like,
surprise.
Surprise. But at the end of that scene, they save each other. And is that where they first kiss? Do they kiss or they almost kiss? They have an almost kiss, which
they have an almost kiss.
I'm fanning myself. I know. Yeah. So
I know. They have like an almost kiss. Like they got really close and they're like, no, we can't, because it's not proper.
Yeah.
And it was like after that he was like talking to his brother and he's like, I need to court her or whatever the term was. I can't remember what the term was.
Courting. Yeah. And so like they court. Which asking someone to court in this world is basically, it feels bigger than asking someone to marry them. You know what I mean? Like it feels like, can I pre-marry you? And you're like, oh, okay, yeah. And then eventually, whatever.
Yeah.
I
thought it was interesting, the thing about how they only marry in the fall, in like November.
Yes. I didn't know that. That was very interesting.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Like how they have all these mass weddings in the fall, like after the harvest, which to some extent makes sense because it's
100%,
like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's like, you've done what you're going to do for the year as far as preparing for the winter and all that kind of stuff. So it makes sense to have this, to kind of lump them all together when it's the most convenient time wise for everybody involved.
Yeah.
And but again, it might be totally off base because I am not Amish, but maybe part of it is too, so it's not that whole where you're focusing too much on one person. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, because like it is like the in this world, like, which I think like we all know, like, it's all about serving God. There's no faces on the
Yep.
dolls. There's no mirrors.
Yep.
There's no any level of like attention on you. So yeah, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, that they would just be like, we're gonna have all these people get married at the same time, and so, and then we'll all have like just a big celebration with everybody, and then it's not, oh, we're just focusing on you two because you two are more important right now than everybody else, and or whatever.
Yeah. Their weddings sound like, when I was reading about their wedding, I like highlighted it because it honestly, like, just like knowing my peers who have, I'm not married, but knowing it seems very stressful to plan a wedding. And
Yeah.
I'm reading it and I'm just like thinking of all of my friends and all, family members who were like just in the, having to like deal with this and deal with that and deal with this and deal with that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this isn't a bad way to get married.
Yeah, because it's like you get to share everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not like the burdens, excuse me, like lessened on everybody because it's more than one person.
Yeah, because you're not like, oh, where do I sit this person? Where do I sit that person? They don't like each other. You know what I mean? Like all that shit you don't have to deal with. It's fabulous.
Yeah, and the whole community's there. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, are we going to have room for so-and-so? Do we really have to invite the neighbors? All this stuff. Like it's just the whole community.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think that's kind of a cool concept, actually.
There's a charm to it. Yeah.
There is. And I thought it was adorable how like embracing the kids were and how excited the kids were when they heard that she was going to be their new mom.
So sweet.
And super sweet, because it was the youngest, Eli, that didn't really remember his mom, right?
Correct.
Because she passed so early. So like he just kind of viewed her as a mother figure anyway,
right?
Because he didn't remember his mom. And so I just thought that was adorable how they were just like automatically just like, oh my God, she's our mom, we love her. And how he proposed with the box that he like whittled for her.
Yeah.
Adorable.
Very cute. Wait, what did he do again? Hold on. He whittles her a box and then, hang on.
It was like towards the end. I'm going to try and find it.
He whittles. Oh, wait, this was what was weird. He makes her a box and he goes to the place where her dad died. But that was kind of weird.
That was kind of weird.
He goes to the place in the woods where her dad died to propose to her because to make it, I get his reasoning. Like, I understand where you're coming from, Jacob. It's a little weird, but he goes to like be like, this place used to always be a tragic place, and now I'm going to make it a happy place. I'm going to propose to you here, which is such a insane thing to do.
Nathaniel, he has like this pseudo redemption thing at the end where he's like, it's obvious that you and I will never be a thing. It's super obvious that Jacob loves you and you love Jacob. And I'm a piece of shit without saying that I'm a piece of shit. But I'm going to change. I'm going to work on it. And I'm going to tell everybody that I lied about this stuff and I'm going to work on it.
Yeah.
And, will you forgive me? And she's like, yeah, of course I'm going to forgive you because that's the right thing to do. And
exactly
all this stuff. But
yeah. I think like it seems like maybe Nathaniel would probably get his story because it seems like there's a bunch of Amish fairy tales, in this series. Okay. So what did you think overall? Will you read another Amish romance again?
I think I will.
Yeah.
Just because it was really interesting getting a glimpse into this community that I didn't really know a whole lot about. Like I knew about the mirrors, I knew about the dolls. Um, I didn't know anything about the clothing thing, like the clothing restrictions. Like I figured it was like you need to wear black because you don't want to be flashy and it's not about you, it's about the community as a whole. Um, there are random things that I've learned about the Amish community that
Propane powered refrigerators. There we go. Like, that was I highlighted that a few times.
yeah, like just random things that you wouldn't think about until you kind of had to think about it. Like, oh yeah, how do they do this thing? Um, and but it's very interesting, and it's a community that I think is very wholesome in a way that I wish more communities were wholesome, if that makes sense. Like it's kind of like it makes you kind of think back to how things used to be, like in history, without all of the horrible like racism and all that fun stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
that's everywhere, but without like severe overtones of, you guys are the devil and all that kind of stuff. It just seems like, at least in this instance, just very wholesome, very sweet. And even though I tend to lean towards the bodice ripper type of books with, again, that whole enemies to lovers sexual tension, chef kiss.
Yes, same. Yeah.
There was a little bit of that towards the end of the book,
which I liked, and during those sections, I'm like, oh, now I get the appeal. Like a longing gaze is just as hot as like someone doing something under the tablecloth. Or I literally just read something where he finger fucks her under a tablecloth. That's neither here nor there. Just as hot,
Like how he was so excited about like running his fingers through her hair.
Yes.
You know, like,
and when
like
she
having her take her cap off, like just being able to like pet her hair. Like,
when she falls asleep on his shoulder for an hour, I was like, this is the sexiest thing in the whole world. And that to me read like, oh, they finally did it. They finally, you know what I mean? And I'm like, that it's like, it was those moments of the book that I really liked. And I wished that there were more of that as opposed to the back and forth between my tragedy,
yeah. There were so many points reading this book where when they would bring that up again, I would audibly be like, ugh, again. Too. Like I was like, we get it. Or when they were reiterating the whole, there aren't any wolves around here, but there are coyotes and they can kill people. Like I was like, we know. You said it at the very beginning of the book. It was in the prologue. Like we get it. Like you don't have to keep repeating it. So like you said, 80 pages shorter. Like we could have cut out so much of this filler stuff and it would have just been just as good.
Yes. Yeah. Because, like, at the end of the day, like, I know that, like, this type of romance maybe is co-opted by, like, religion, purity culture, things like that. But the way it's written, like, if it was just like, hey, this is just a romance that takes place in Amish land, it's not written for any agenda to promote, to promote purity. I'd be like, oh, okay, this is just an interesting romance without sex and kissing. And that's just like, and that's what I appreciated about, like, that's what, I don't know. I thought I was going to be hit over the head with this like purity culture thing of like, by the end of this, am I supposed to like, renounce, I don't know. Not that I was expecting to be like brainwashed or anything, but I don't know. Like, I just think because I thought that because these are so popular amongst like heavily religious readers, was it going to be more preachy? And I was wrong. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And part of me thought that too. Part of me was worried that it was going to be like, oh, this way of courting is way better than the whole, like, I'm going to sleep with you on the first date type of heathen type behaviors that everybody else does. But yeah, I'm glad that it didn't dive too deep into that. Like it just, there were brief moments where they're talking about God and, repenting and being chased and all this kind of stuff, which fine, whatever. They
Yeah.
weren't throwing it in your face.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I was almost expecting a little bit. And then,
Mhm.
and so it makes me curious, like, oh, are there are other Amish romances like this, of like, this is a story. These are it's the love story first. And then it's like the characters, if that makes any sense. Like, oh,
Yeah.
this is an enemies to lovers trope happens to take place in Amish country, like that to me, I
Yeah.
was like, that I was very impressed with.
Yeah.
And that would impress me. Yeah.
And when we first kind of started the book, my first thought before we really kind of learned more about Jacob's character was I was wondering if it was going to be a book where Scarlett and Jacob kind of have that um, enemies to lovers type of energy because she is so headstrong and proud. Like, I almost wondered if that's kind of what it was going to be like. But when you read the book, he's almost a little bit more submissive in his dealings with her.
Oh yeah.
Like,
It's actually quite sexy, I have to say.
yeah, like it's almost like the traditional gender roles are switched in their instance because, like he's like, yeah, I've hunted, but it's not really my thing. It's not something that I'm really good at. Whereas she's all like, yeah, my dad took me out all the time. I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm a skilled hunter. I like sell my catches or whatever, like at the market. People know me for my hunting skills, and he's just like, I'm a dad, like I'm a really nice dad, and I got these two adorable kids.
Yeah.
I make furniture for Englanders, like, I'm just this down to earth guy. And so that was refreshing.
Yeah.
That he wasn't like the Nathaniel character where he's like shoving in your face, like, I'm this great catch.
Yeah.
I'm such a great catch. He's just kind of like, yep, this is what I do, and I'm a nice guy, and I think you're a swell gal, and like
it's so interesting you mentioned role reversal, because I was thinking like the Red Riding Hood tale that we all know is like kind of has this, the lesson is like, don't go off the beaten path. Don't talk to strangers. Like specific, like ladies don't talk to strangers. Little girls don't talk to strangers.
Yeah.
Yet kind of the lesson and the moral in this story is believe women. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, oh, whoa. Like, I wonder if the author, if that was purposeful or not, but it was just, it is kind of fascinating,
Yeah, it was a very interesting take on the tale. And like the whole cautionary, don't go out by yourself in the woods because bad things are going to happen to you, which is very similar to the fears that women have to encounter going outside at night by themselves, in our traditional society, which sucks. But yeah, the idea that you should listen to women and what they have to say and trust that they know their own truth was really eye-opening in this. Like, I was very surprised by that like undertone in the book.
Yes.
So
yeah. And I give the author a lot of credit, because whenever I think like fairy tale retelling, it's always like, I think it's always going to be the same, and the moral of the story is, and like it's always going to be the same moral. And I was like, oh, it was very interesting to not see that in this book.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, like how the book ends, it's an interesting way to kind of wrap up the book in a way where it's like, is there going to be a sequel? Are they going to dive more into it? Are they going to have more like misadventures together where they have to protect the community, as like the coyote hunter duo or whatever, it's just kind of, it was a nice way to kind of bookend the book, I guess, if you want to call it that way, to just kind of like leave it open-ended, but in a way that was true to the tale, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because like there are, I think there are going to be like upcoming books like in this series. Like I think the next one is like Robin Hood or, whatever. I was like Three Little Pigs, and then, you get the wolf comes back. They finally get that, whatever.
That's neither here nor there. Okay, so I want to get your rating. And so as we mentioned, we learned a lot about their culture, and I highlighted again and again for some reason propane powered refrigerators. So my thing for you is rate how many propane powered refrigerators. 1 out of 5 propane powered refrigerators means you didn't like it. 5 out of 5 propane powered refrigerators means you loved it.
Okay. I'm going to rate it 4 propane powered refrigerators.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I'm giving it that rating is because I do feel like it was really repetitive in parts where it didn't need to be. But I loved the premise. I loved the tension. It was frustrating, yet in a fun way, like how stubborn they both were, but then like were also very quick to admit when they were wrong and like apologize and endeavor to be better. And just like how wholesome their relationship ended up being after the whole coyote thing was very sweet.
Yeah.
So I did very much enjoy the book.
Yes. I'm going to give it 3 propane powered refrigerators just because as someone who has such a hard time sitting still, when there's a back and forth in a book, it really does get to me. You know what I mean? And so I am going to dock it points, but it did open my eyes to like what I thought, like it helped me see what Amish romance is. Like I kind of always, just assumed by its fan base, assumed what these books were, and now seeing what they really are, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's interesting, and I'm gonna be this is a book I'll think about, like it'll stick with me. It's like, yeah,
it definitely makes me curious to know what other subgenres within the Amish romance subset would look like. Like I'd be very interested in reading an LGBTQ book set in the Amish community. I would love to know what that looks like.
I mean, I have read, it was called, the series was called A Forbidden Rumspringa, but there was sex in it, you know what I mean? And they leave the community. So I don't know if it qualifies as Amish romance because it's not like this where it's like they are members of the community, they're proud of it, blah, 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 blah. This is like, oh, they feel they have to leave, and it's like, I guess it's not Amish romance, but they started off as Amish.
Yeah. So I don't know, like it makes me curious about, like other subsets of the genre, but I don't think it's going to convert me to be like, now I need to read as many Amish romance novels as I humanly can.
Yeah.
It was definitely a good glimpse into the genre, but I don't feel like it didn't pull me in enough to be like, now I need to explore the rest of the fairy tale series that was written.
Same. Yeah. I feel like, then again, I would probably read an Amish romance again. Maybe not this author, and this is, maybe just seeing what else is out there, I guess, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm glad we read it.
Oh my God, me too. Yeah, I'm so glad that I finally read, like, it's been on my list of things to read, and, there's controversy and whatnot, but like, I think like, it kind of just like made me realize like, oh yeah, it's like, we always say don't judge a book by its cover, and I think that also applies to this as well. So it's like, here I was kind of on my high horse of like, we shouldn't co-opt a group of people who don't know what's going on, and then it's like, well, read the book, and so yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for being a guest. This was so much fun. Please tell us where we can find you. Promote yourself. Plug. What the kids do. Do the whole
plugging
shebang.
And all the things. Yeah,
the plugging and the internet and all that stuff.
Yep. So once again, my podcast is Ye Olde Crime. We release new episodes every Wednesday, and you can find us wherever you're listening to this podcast. We are on Twitter, unfortunately, at
We all it's all unfortunate for everyone on
yeah,
Twitter. Yeah.
at Ye Olde Crime Pod, and that's old with an E in it. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, even though I don't really do much there, at Ye Olde Crime Podcast. And we are on TikTok. I don't do a whole lot there. I'm trying to be better about it, but I'm old, man. Like
the amount of the same thing. The amount of like everyone I know is like, yeah, I'm on TikTok, but you know,
Yeah.
like, am I really gonna learn a new thing? Am I ready? Like,
Yeah.
is it too late for me? I totally get it.
Yeah, I know. I need to find an intern who's young and hip who can do it for me. An unpaid intern, because let's be honest, we don't make money podcasting.
No. So if there's any young hip who don't want to get paid to just help us out, the job's yours.
Yes, you know where to find me, which is at yeoldecrimepodcast.com. So yeah, if you like history and true crime and witty banter, like not taking it too seriously, I hope you give us a listen.
For links to today's book, check out the show notes or visit the episode page at tstalepodcast.com. Too Stupid to Live is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. For more podcasts you'll love, visit frolic.media/podcasts. Thank you so much for listening and have a great rest of your day.